Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello. Hello. It's Friday and it's actually sunny today. It's beautiful outside.
Yeah, same over here. It's really, really nice out. You know what I forgot to say last week?
What?
It was our 40th episode.
Oh my gosh. And I'm turning 40 this year. Woo,
That's
woo.
kind of what I wanted to poke at that, but since you're not ashamed, I guess I
I'm
guess there's
not.
no
You know
fun in
what?
that.
I
You were
made it
at
this
30,
far.
but I guess you've improved.
No, it was 29. 29, I like cried. It was like,
Was it your
I don't like,
29th or your
I'm,
30th? It was your
I think it was
29th?
my 29th, dude. Yeah, I really do think it was my 29th because 30th, I was like, no.
Yes, I remember that. I remember being so taken aback, like you just burst into tears randomly sitting on a stool, and I'm like, "What? What's happening?" So, enough of the birthday blues. Want to get started with some baby switching?
The baby switch. Who?
Yeah.
Which character do we start with? I kind of like
Oh,
the
there's
Lucas
so
Willow
many.
scene. Where do you want to go?
I think that was really okay. I love Lucas. Like all I have to say about that is he's so hot. Like I'm so in love with him, and I'm just happy he's sort of taking up a little bit more space in this whole story.
Well,
Not that it's
yeah.
a bad thing for Brad. I mean, as an actor, it's got to be amazing getting that storyline because he got to interact with like a lot of people. He had way more scenes with Julian, but I'm just really happy to see Brad getting involved. No, he doesn't know everything, but getting him as connected as he can possibly be right now. How did you feel about his conversation with Willow, though?
Oh, so when I saw him in the scene, I definitely thought about you because, like, oh, he's looking extra dapper today.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I just Lucas, his character is just this like kind, warm, loving, happy person. So the fact that in a scene he can go from like still being cautious and protected. And when he started talking to Willow and Willow shared her story, and you can see in his face that he was just taking it all in, that he was just feeling connected or feeling for her or whatever it is. And then how he ended his speech with basically telling her how wonderful and strong she is and that, he initially wanted an open adoption. I was just like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
like it really got me. The fact that he was so willing to share the baby and include Willow into the whole thing, especially now that he knows who she is. And also just so impressed with, Willow doing the best that she can and trying, especially when he was trying to understand why did you give him up or why did
Yes.
you agree and things like that. And I just think it was just amazing to hear Willow kind of, and I can't imagine how hard that is for like the character Willow to kind of say that it was my baby, but your child to raise. And I just found that whole
Yes.
thing like such, well, an example of really big love, you know what I mean? To be that sort of like open. But what I did, yeah, but in terms of the conversation he was having with Willow, yeah, like he took the time to like really get to know this person. This is the mother of his child, and he took the time to kind of fill in the blanks. Like Brad is just, I feel like poor Lucas doesn't have a partner right now, and
Exactly.
and Brad is just everywhere. Obviously, he tries to keep his distance with Willow. Like he doesn't want to know much. He wants to have the least amount of communication with her as possible. But
Yes.
Lucas, upon finding out, because he's not getting anything from Brad. I mean, obviously, he knows Brad is holding certain things back. So I think for him, being able to like get the most information he can and talking to somebody who's willing to share was probably a really great experience for him to sort of get the answers he's always wanted from the adoptive mother, like because we all know that like there was this glitch in the adoption where she sort of changed her mind and changed it back. So I feel like he got a lot out of it. And I think he hurt for Willow the fact that
Oh
she
yeah.
would have to cut ties because he's like, how are you going to make this work, especially with your connection to Michael? So really loved that whole thing.
Oh, I agree. And I always feel Willow's character just gets put through the ringer, like highs
Yeah.
and lows, I guess what I'm trying to say. So, you have Lucas lifting her up. You have, then there's like a classroom scene with Harmony. There's a classroom scene with Chase. Like this poor woman is just pulled in so many different directions, but never like a medium ground.
Well, sure, but I guess it's easy to be pulled in all those directions when you're not teaching during the day because
True.
I don't because to receive that many visits during the
It's
daytime at school. I'm just like, who has time for this? So I did find that really funny that she got that many visits, because you know what? Maybe that's why she got let go and not so much about
Oh my gosh.
unavailadly.
Well, it's like when
You
we, it's like,
have too many visitors, Willow. Too many.
well, it's like when we talk about how they have time to like go for breakfast and do all these things before work. It's like, who gets stuff done in the day at Port Charles?
Well, no one, because nobody like texts, or they and their phone calls are usually to announce that they're about to go meet them in person, which I love. Like I would love that life if that's all my day was filled with, was just going to meet up with people. I think that would be freaking amazing. But
That's
another really
true.
important element of what Willow said to Lucas, and I think it kind of sums up how we feel about him as well. But it was super funny to kind of hear the basis of her decision for picking them, that she admitted that her selecting Brad and Lucas had zero to do with Brad, but everything to do with Lucas, and that he lived up to the expectations in the application. And I thought that was so funny, because I could see that being true living in the world of Port Charles. But I think she spoke to maybe how quite a bit of people might feel about
That-
Brad and Lucas, especially throughout this storyline.
yeah.
So I thought that was such a funny add-in, that she made a point of telling Lucas, you lived up to the expectations, and then she elaborated that with Chase. I thought that was super freaking funny.
And I love when they do that on Gage. They like kind of put in stuff that we want to hear, how we're thinking or our perspective
Yeah.
on things. We just have to like catch it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so like, well, like, all of this is really about Wiley, and I just have to say, like, when that baby comes on screen, he knows how to act. Like, he's always so on point with his facial expressions. It seems like he's understanding what they're talking about. I just love that baby. He's just so amazing. And I guess when I watch him with Michael, I kind of like, the only thing I always keep thinking of is the fact that the actor who plays Michael said it's so hard to act with a baby.
I
So
know.
so part of me always laughs at that reality. How will Michael look, when it becomes his baby? Like, how does this fit it to his jet setting life where, he's running off with, hot Sasha?
I think that once he knows, okay, so
To
one, I
like a
have to back
nude
up and
beach,
say,
apparently. Anyways.
so you're right about Wiley, his little eyebrow and his little like bow tie, and how he was
Always the bow
snuggling,
tie.
and he was snuggling into Michael. Oh
Oh,
my gosh, it was so
yeah.
crazy cute. I think that, just Michael's life will have to readjust. Like he's living the life of somebody who is single and has a lot of money, and he's young and he's around a beautiful woman and starting a relationship. But when he does find out that Wiley is his, there'll be kind of an adjustment. He can afford to get a nanny, and the babe can go
Oh.
with him, and like there's all these things that I don't see Michael. I think he's going to hunker down for a little bit because he's just going to be so overjoyed.
Oh,
But then
he
when
wouldn't
life
shy
resumes
away.
normal, exactly, it's just going to kind of take on the rich person lifestyle of having a kid.
No, but I think you brought up a really excellent point, is that they might be emphasizing Michael, because he, for a long time, was preparing to be a parent. And now
Yes.
he's finally at this part where he's sort of past the heavier grief. He's restarted his life, and he's really developed this identity as this CEO, this single guy who's really getting back out there. So I think that is interesting. They might play up his single life and this new start that he's made for himself, which is going to be a shock I mean, it would have been a shock either way, but it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
shock switching lifestyles. And the funny thing is like, yes, you're saying he might get a nanny, he might go back to his life. He might. But can Sasha really date somebody with a kid? She's already having a hard
Oh,
time committing. So that's
yeah.
really funny that you bring that up, because I do think, yeah, like he'll eventually go back to having his life and dating, but I'm not sure Sasha would stick around for that.
I don't think so either. And you make me sound so much more insightful than what I was saying. So thank
You're
you for that.
welcome. um, okay, just one thing. Did you notice this? So when Brad's always trying to get the baby away from like Willow or
Yes.
Michael, and so I was just laughing when he was like, "I have to take Wiley to his grandmother." I'm like, that's also Michael's grandmother. Like, if we believe, you know what I mean? If we don't know it's actually Michael's baby, because if we know it's actually Michael's baby, then Brad is actually taking Wiley to his great grandmother. So either way, Bobby doesn't really lose her title here, right?
Yeah. It's very
I'm
confusing.
like, now I'm confused, because Bobby is his grandmother,
Bobby is his grandmother.
is his
Yes.
grandmother, right?
Oh, yeah, but it's also Carly's.
Yeah, because
mother,
Lucas and
which is
Carly.
Michael's. Oh my goodness. Yep.
Isn't
Yep.
that funny? So when he was announcing to everyone, like, I'm taking him to Wiley to his grandmother, it's like, it's kind of, well, yeah, it's Michael's to Bobby. You're taking him to Bobby. Like, can we get specific? So, in this whole baby situation, we have Sam and Julian stepping in, which
Oh
I
my
thought
gosh.
was the best freaking thing ever. She can, I love, because, like, I mean, they just share this stereotypical role where she's like, you know, the like teenager who's just like, oh, I don't have anything to do with you, dad. And he just laughs at her. Like, because when they got together to do the con, she makes some sort of comment like how like the IDs are really good. Then he makes a joke like, I used to be like a respected criminal or
Yes.
like a good criminal. And he's laughing at her and she's just sort of like eye roll. I just thought that was so funny.
I thought it was hilarious too. I like their dynamic together. They have really great chemistry in terms of like the father daughter, like you say, the teen and
Mm-hmm.
dad. What killed me the most is that maybe I didn't catch on, maybe I was tired, but I didn't know what exactly their plan was going to be and what characters they would be playing. So when they pan to her and she has like the cute little ponytail and the cute little frou-frou shirt, and then she walks in and she's speaking all meek, and then she says her name is Willow, I busted out laughing so loud.
It's her interpretation of Willow. But it's
Yes.
like, I don't really know if, like, let's say that court document, like, if it says on the birth certificate or any of the documents, she's a teacher. So, like, I have to play the part of, like, anyways, whatever. But it was just, like, an interesting choice of how to play it. And I love that he was coming in being this antagonistic person because it really just plays up their natural annoyance. Well, more so Sam's natural annoyance with Julian.
Yes.
But I mean, it just like what you said, like I love the teamwork. So Trisha Daniel 44 said Julian and Sam make a pretty good team. They would work great together. And I hope they can work on their father-daughter relationship. And something else, because the whole thing about them being a great team, I think that they would make a really good PI team, like Curtis out, Julian in. And you
Ooh.
know, it's always like Smith and Sons. It'd be funny if like Sam insisted on it being like McCall and Dad or like sort of like.
I
Anyways,
love it.
I think it would be really funny. And Red Kayak One also agreed that they make a great team, and I bet they would be really funny jabbing at each other. I like the idea. Plus, they're super hot, so there is that too.
Yes. Oh, I don't know what it is lately, but he's just like extra hot.
It's this week. I'm sorry. Like this week was just spectacular. Like just seeing like Lucas in the doorway. I was like, get in here, please. Um, then then Sunny is like Dimple's smile, which we'll get to. Julian is like the way he was kind of smiling, and when he was with Sam, and I posted a picture of that because I was like, hello. And then I'm like, it was just funny because these like hot pictures were, I was like, how do I like use these? Does that make so creepy that every day I'm like, this is a hot guy, this is a hot picture? Because even like yesterday's episode, it opened up with like Finn, Franco, and like Kevin all sitting together, and I'm like, they look really good. Like they look so handsome. It's just been a really handsome week this week. I think that's the name of our podcast.
Yes, I agree with you. It totally should be the name of our podcast. That's what I was thinking all week long, that everybody was just all the handsome men just in every single scene. I was really
Mm-hmm.
glued to my TV. It made me very happy this week. And I don't think it's creepy that we post guys all the time.
Well, I found a way to make it work. Why I didn't just come off as like this is all I could focus on this week. But it was really hard to focus with all the handsomeness. And so, okay, so just talking about the possibility of Sam and Julian working together, did you notice that when Sam was speaking, she was at the table at Charlie's with Michael and Jason?
Yes.
When she tried to like end their conversation, because I think their conversation ended up kind of like around Julian and Shiloh and stuff, and so she just sort of said something like cheers to the good guys or something like that. But did you catch that she glanced over to Julian after she said that?
No, I didn't catch that. I knew she looked up, but I didn't kind of gauge like how that would play into that specific scene. So there is a part of her that kind of sees him as a good guy in this particular situation.
I think she's inching toward being a little bit more forgiving about him, because honestly, I guess I'm just a little lost because the comments toward Julian this week, I'm like,
Hmm.
I get that the character may have a history with him and still feel that way, but as the person watching the show and watching how he's evolved, part of me is like, I'm not sure if these comments are justified. Like when Jason was like, we can't really trust him.
I think that people are still hanging on to something he isn't, and nobody has actually taken the time to see where he is now because everybody just kind of stopped talking to him. So Sam, Lucas, all these people have
Well,
detached themselves from him.
Lucas has been as warm as he could. I think Lucas has been the nicest to him, even at a distance. And like I said, I feel like, yes, Lucas was initially mad at his dad for sure and was actively keeping a distance. But then it came a time where his distance was a result of Wiley. And then,
That's true. That's a good point. I just don't think. Yeah, I honestly, because we see him more than they do, so I think that it's not really justified. Like he's made so many great decisions, and he's been supportive to Kim, and all he's doing is trying to protect his grandson. Like I don't think he had an
yeah.
option when Brad came to him to say, "Hey, no, no, thank you. You leave because my son may lose his baby, but whatever. I have to be like on the super straight and narrow." Like, and what he did wasn't even that terrible. Like he didn't have to off anybody or like anything along
No,
those lines.
he's helping them in the same way I think that Jason and Sam have been helping, whether it's being undercover, talking to people, a con, like he hasn't done anything
Yes.
crazy mob related to get anything done. I mean, the one, first of all, I'm just happy that he's like the one person who thought maybe I should inform Willow that there's going to be no paper trail.
Right.
But now he's putting her up to doing something more on the illegal end, which I don't know how that will fit with her relationship with Chase because he has sort of been a little warny-ish, like warning her about not doing things that were illegal. So I mean, I don't personally think Willow would bat an eye to do anything to protect Wiley, legal or not. I just think she would just probably not tell Chase.
Well, that's the
Ugh.
thing, though. But I know, right? So there's the wedge there. But there was that scene with Michael and Chase
Yes,
at
yes.
Charlie's where Chase, kind of said he kind of left it open that he would like do anything to protect Willow.
Right, but I don't know what he means
So
by that. Like he basically arrested Shiloh hard and made loud excited noises about it. You know what I mean? Like when he
right.
says that I'll do anything, I'm just like, but what does that actually mean? Like I'm supposed to believe that the guy who felt that it was in everyone's best interest to locate Christina is the same guy who would do anything for Willow? Like I don't know how that goes together. I don't know to what extent that means. I think he'll do anything legally because when you say do anything, it means anything. It means it could be outside the law, and I just don't
Yes.
think that's something Chase would ever agree to.
I agree, and that might be the wedge, my friend. The wedge.
Well, that's what I think. I think that'll ultimately be a little bit of what down the line, like really down the line, what kind
Mm-hmm.
of comes between Willow and Chase. Okay, so before we talk about the arrest, okay, I want to talk a little bit about Cray Cray's visit to Willow's room. So Harmony shows up. Her
Oh.
so-called mother shows up. Oh man, I just can't with her.
Well, I thought about you because I put a puke emoji as the first thing because I'm like, how am I going to write how this makes me feel? Because it literally makes me sick to my stomach. One, the scene with her and Shiloh, Harmony and Shiloh, and how he's manipulating her and speaking to her in order to get the information he wants. And the fact that she's just like full on eating it up. And then she just marches over and tries to use her whatever she thinks she's using and whatever
She
she thinks
has
she's
nothing to
seeing.
use. First off, Shiloh asked Harmony to find Willow ages ago. She showed up to
Yeah.
Port Charles. He's like, you gotta find her, you gotta find her. She's never been able to find her. Am I really to believe that she's gonna put two and two together and actually figure out how to find anybody, much less his baby?
I know because exactly that. She was like a town over. When she was standing in the dawn of day house, she was probably like a block over at the school.
Right. And so that's the thing. Willow changed her name. So just that in itself, like obviously she might have just been Googling her original name and couldn't find her and then never went beyond that. So exactly how are you going to find a baby that you don't know whether it was a boy or a girl? You don't know, like they're like you just don't know anything. So like, and I don't really think she's like apt for it. Like I don't really think she's
Exactly.
got a lot going on up there
Oh
to
no.
really know how to do this. And oh gosh, and like everyone keeps talking about Shiloh's henchmen. If he really has these people, like wouldn't they be people that would be able to like help him and not so much Harmony? And I know this sounds bad, but can you really like I know like the concept when you say manipulating, but when I hear him talk to her, I'm like, I feel like, can we call that manipulation when it's so damn obvious what he's doing and you're so pathetic? I'm like, can we call that manipulating or just asking somebody who he knows is a dum dum and he'll do it? Like, I don't know. Like, I just had such a hard time with that scene. I was just staring all wide eyed. I'm like, you are so sad. Like, I mean, like, there's no amount of deprogramming that can help this woman.
Oh
And
no,
I don't
yeah.
know how many times she will basically betray or throw her daughter under the bus for this man. Like, it's just, how many times do you want to do that? Like, it's just so sick and sad when she's trying to like lure Willow back in and this girl's like, wow, you're insane. Like, you're insane. Like, this guy is not special.
Well, exactly. And the fact that she kept saying, I'm a mother. I know it's like, no,
No,
you were
you're
never a
not.
mother. You are a person who had a child. That
I
is
wish she
all.
would say that. I wish Willow kind of threw that back at her. But it's
I
like, I guess
know.
she's afraid, like, oh no, if I'm not part of Donna Day, I'm gonna have to get a real job because I don't know what she does between driving back and forth between Beatrice Corner, Port Charles, drugging women, and like trying to get with Shiloh beyond a spiritual level. Like, I don't know what skills she has, or she's probably like super afraid to get a job.
Right? Oh my gosh. Like, I can't even. And like, I loved, okay, we'll get to that later, but the DA scene with her was
Okay,
amazing.
okay, it really was, and it kind of reignited some confidence I had in her. But I just want to like, okay, so let's just get to it. So one thing that bugs me about the DA constantly, like when like Sunny tries to talk to her about DOD, is that she sort of always throws Christina at him,
Yes.
and I'm just like, can you just go talk to Christina? Like, I'm just saying, like, I would want her to go talk to Christina because, like, I mean, obviously, we know that as the week goes on, she really, really gets it, and she makes it very clear the line she's drawing and what side she's on. But
Hmm.
I just was sort of really annoyed at how uncertain she seemed about the whole thing. And I just felt like, as a DA, there are very clear ways to get answers. I mean, you don't have to go to Christine in a legal capacity. You can go to her as a DOD member. At this point in time, no one really allowed her to step in and help Sam. But if she could actually say something and sort of like pay forward what Willow did for her and do it for the DA in the context of a DOD relationship, I feel
Hmm.
like Christina would have been all for it. I would have felt really amazing to have been able to help somebody see the light in a way.
That's a really good point. I think that would have empowered Christina
Yes, they would have
very
empowered her.
much.
Yeah,
I felt like the DA was still under Shiloh's influence in a sense because he was
very
the one that made
much.
mention of like
Her like little
Sunny and the
girl.
way, yes, and just like speaking to her in a way that was just kind of keeping her in that mode where she is approached about DOD. She would get defensive and just
Yes,
spew out anything that came to
yes.
mind, as opposed to processing what that person's saying, like a logical person, and then saying normal things in return.
Well, well, I think you're really right when you talk about how like Shiloh is trying to keep her in that original vulnerable place she came in with, whereas Sunny, when he tries to talk to her, is really trying to push her past that. Is really constantly trying to get her to take steps forward. And so when she was with Jason and Sunny, I just thought it was hilarious because he wouldn't stop using legalese with her and trying to like say this is legal, this is how you use it,
Yeah.
and she wouldn't stop insisting that she knew the law. And I was like, how can you insist on knowing the law? Okay, if you literally, like, if you know the law, then you would know what incriminating means, and you incriminated yourself by giving him that pledge. I'm sorry, there's no, what organization on the planet would require you to hand over incriminating information about yourself? Like, what organization? Like, think about that logically. What would be the purpose to hand that over to someone? And like, so I'm just saying, like, if you know the law really well, like, I don't know if you would have done that.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why that whole scene was funny. And maybe it was just me reading into the scene a little bit much, but I felt that she's like, "Oh, you can't keep summoning me." I think is what she said to Sunny. But she looked amazing. Like her hair was perfect, her
She
makeup was
always looks
super
good. She's
nice.
very pretty. She's very, very
Oh
pretty.
yeah, she is. But I felt like there was like just a little extra.
Oh, maybe. Like, I just, like, I find with her, like, she fights when there's no need to fight, like when you're kind of on the same side. Like, it was just a weird situation when she was left with Sunny on his own. Like, he kept insisting take the win. Like, he didn't blackmail her really, because I'm just like, I'm so confused because she was originally mad and I think she felt blackmailed. You
Yes.
know, obviously he shows her the letter and tells her all this information and she calls in a warrant, but I'm like, you can't call in a warrant illegally. Like, I mean,
Exactly,
I
just
was so
based on somebody telling you to.
I was just like, do you feel coerced into doing your job? Like, I'm so freaking confused right now. And so, I mean, I guess, like, I kind of understand. Like, I guess maybe she felt cornered just doing something she wasn't ready to do. Like, maybe she hadn't yet processed all the information, listened to it. I don't know. And I can understand that, maybe feeling trapped. But the thing is, I feel like if you feel that it went from one blackmailer to another, sort of, then it means on some level you know that he's right about Shiloh.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking when she said that. So like you know, I'm like screwing the TV, like you do get it now, DA. Like you understand right and wrong, and when people are communicating with you in a forthright way.
I think so. And I mean, like, I think they had a good close to their chapter because, like, last week
Yeah,
I said that she would be going back to YNR and she'd be doing both. Is she going back? Is it YNR, the soap she's going
I
back
believe
to?
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she was supposed to be doing two for a while, but I guess not because she filmed her last day at GH already. So this is pretty much like the end of her arc on the show. So I mean, it was an interesting ending. Like, Sunny basically is telling her move on with your life. He gave her the envelope, so really just demonstrating, like, I'm not him. Like, I'm not. I kind of just want you to do the right thing, and in any case that you weren't gonna do it, like, I had this. Like, this is maybe what I understood.
Yes.
From it. I don't know if he always intended on giving it back to her or not.
I feel that he did. I really didn't think he would hold on to it because they have that weird connection,
Right.
regardless of how we feel about it. And I think he just wanted her to do the right thing. And then, oh, wait, when he said, was it last week, you have to save yourself? Maybe that was his last kind of kick in the butt to say, here, now you have everything back and you need to make better choices. Go save yourself.
I really think that. You know what I mean? Like we said, it's the opposite of what Shiloh's doing. He keeps trying to push her into just getting a life and move on past everything that happened to your dad. She's been digging around and living in the past and in a story she's made up in her head for a really, really long time, and she's not dealing with it. So I guess I really like the way that they wrapped up their relationship. And I guess for me, like, maybe I just feel bad for I don't know if I feel bad for the character or the actress
I
playing a role like this,
know.
but I was happy to see her sort of vindicate herself or her character, to be able to face Shiloh, because, like, I'm sorry, his face every time he realizes somebody is not in awe of him is freaking hilarious.
I know he's so good though, like the actor to like keep pulling up that specific face. Like what?
You don't adore me? Why? And it's just like, it's just so insane. And, like, you know what's funny? Because he had kind of requested that she get rid of evidence before she had went over to Sunny and see Jason. So the fact
Yes.
that you were so, like, not really believing he was capable when he had already tried to kind of get you to compromise yourself professionally. But I did like their interaction. I love that she really just made the case clear and kind of gave him no leverage on her when she said, well, I'm leaving the position anyway. Like, you just don't have any leverage on me. And I was just laughing because, like, because this was sort of the moment of truth for everyone, because we were all like, were these the only copies, like the USB slash letters? Like, was this the only copy? I when he said something like those are like the physical copies, I'm like, oh my gosh, he has like other copies. And
Spiritual
I was like,
copies.
you have mental copies? This is what you're trying to, like, lure over our head? I remember it. I'm sorry. Do you know how the law works? You can't just go and just say all of this stuff. If she destroyed evidence, it means there's zero evidence. So you can say
Exactly.
what you want, but if there's no evidence to back up what you said because she got rid of it, wow. Like, I'm like, you're
Well,
just
that's
not
exactly how
bright.
I was feeling like, wow. Wow. No wonder his followers have to be, you know, like a harmony, a
Right.
vessel that is empty, because he is not that full either.
No, I was just sort of like, you've never heard of a hard drive? Like, how can you run your operation and not back up this information? Like, I'm just so confused. It's like, I have my brain. This is my hard drive. And it's just like, wow. Okay. So, like, he's super screwed, but at the same time, I'm like, bad guys always go free. That's, like, just how I feel. Like, I feel like it's not fair. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, she lets Harmony go see him. Like, Margot is hoping that, you know, and I like that. I loved when Margot highlighted to us all, you can go down too. I love that. I loved
Yes,
hearing it. I loved
same.
hearing it. I think she should go down with him.
Oh,
Like
1000%.
that would be my ideal. I don't know if it will come to that because Shiloh was ready to ask her a favor, and I think she's dumb enough to do whatever. Like, I think he might promise conjugal visits. Who knows?
We know how much she wants those, so.
Oh, I know. She's desperate to go beyond the spiritual. She's like, we were in the physical, we went to the spiritual. She's like, I need to get back on the other side. But okay, so we forgot one thing about the DA. So I'm going to read this comment. This is from KW Medias, and he said, okay, this is the last time we're finally going to get back to Drew and Shiloh, because seeing the different sides of him and his greed of money, he definitely took part in Drew getting snatched. That's what I think too. I definitely think he might have played a role in everything that happened to Drew, which is why when Margot brought up investigating David, like David Archer, like that's what I forgot. I love how she hammered that in. He looked like he put too much salt in his food. So like I loved his reaction. I completely agree with this because like basically this is why I don't think, I mean, he's going to stick around. And like I said, I want them to wrap up the Drew and Shiloh connection. So I felt like that was just telling us, like, so DOD is kind of wrapping up, and we're going to push Shiloh forward into these other storylines. Like, I love, like, the direction that they're pointing this in. But I have to say, like, I was so proud of the DA. I was so happy that she had that moment of letting him know, like, everything is about to unravel. So, I mean, they have evidence against him. So I'm really not sure, because I think if anything, he'll, like, Harmony might incriminate herself, but I can't see how she would be responsible for his attempted rape with Sam, though. Like, I do feel like
No, yeah, I agree. That's all him.
yeah, but I don't know.
I was happy to see the DA's fire. It's like, for once, her
Mm-hmm.
fire and authority and
It was directed at
fierceness
the
was
right person.
right. Oh
First
my
time for
gosh.
everything.
And then, okay, so I was like on this big high when she was like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And then all of a sudden she's like, and I'm leaving my position. I was like, no. Like, I knew what you were going to
Yeah.
tell me, but it was still so hopeful.
I'm curious to see who they would bring in, like, to kind of replace her, because she mentioned something about having a special election. So I'm really curious
Right.
about that. But I definitely want to touch on the last pieces of the puzzle with this, like, whole baby switch thing. So what
Okay.
did you think about Julian and Alexis's, I don't know how to say
The
that.
showdown.
I'm gonna do the opposite. What did you think about Alexis and Julian?
Do not edit that out.
Twisted little foreplay that they had going at Charlie's. Like, first of all, when he was like, I didn't think you'd come, I'm like, you've met her, right?
Really?
Like, she'll be up your butt in a sec. Like,
I was very much Team Julian. He was just giving it to her
yes.
straight. Like, you cannot judge me. Get off your high horse. Get on the damn ground and look at me a little bit lower than my eye level.
I feel like, because he calls her, he's like calling her a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was fine with that, because that is something, like, I just, because people call her that a lot, and
True.
for very real reasons, because she, like, legitimately does this and, like, gives obvious examples as to how she's a hypocrite. But I feel like maybe she's just at a point where she's really, like, embracing it, because he's literally saying, you did what you had to do, illegal or not, to save your daughter, but you're telling me that I can't comply with my son's wishes. And I'm just saying, like, the stuff he did for Lucas wasn't, I don't know, for me wasn't as bad, because it didn't involve a lot of people and it didn't call too much attention. Like, what they did with Christina was pretty risky.
Oh,
Like, you
100%.
held a person captive, so there was a lot that could go wrong and a lot at risk. And I feel like him pulling a con with Sam, she does that kind of stuff all the time, and we never see her get caught for it.
Exactly. So no, I don't think they're on the same level at all, and that Alexis needs to really chill. One, keep her mouth closed. Second, chill and seek real therapy, not in a restaurant.
You mean don't do therapy with a guy you're interested in? Why
That too.
not? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? And I just, because at first when I saw them get together, I was like, you know what? This whole Lucas thing might be what draws Julian and Alexis back together. But then when they were fighting, I'm like, that also might bring Julian and Alexis back together. I don't know. There's just something so twisted. Like, they just really fire each other up. But like,
True.
I just have to say, like, she did Google the doctor. Okay.
Yes.
And
I'm like, it's about time.
she finds out that he dedicated a book to his wife and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know that, well, Willow can't be his daughter, because like
They did
even
not
if he
recognize each other.
no, like even if he didn't recognize her as an adult, I feel like she would kind of recognize you look and possibly sound like my dad. Because
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking. And we also suspected that he was the father of the guy who
Right.
died in Beecher's Corner. So that doesn't look to be the case. So he seems to have a whole separate and distinct backstory.
Which I'm very interested in.
Very, very interested in. So, okay, so talk about like hypocrisy. So then she runs to Carly and Sunny after. I'm like, what is freaking happening? I feel like someone should tell her that Sam helped Julian do everything he was trying to talk to her about. Like
Yes.
she helped. Anyways, but anyway, she goes to Sunny and Carly, and once again, a judgment towards Julian, where like Sunny kind of made a comment about Julian being involved, and I'm like, but he's involved with his own son, and Lucas is a grown up, and anyways, whatever. Like they don't know in detail what he did exactly, and again,
Mm-hmm.
Sam helped him and kind of approved of the whole thing.
Exactly.
But whatever. But yeah, just I feel like Alexis just went on like a hypocrite tour, like she's dealing with Julian and then running straight to Carly and Sunny, and I'm like, because you think Sunny's a better criminal?
I know. Like, how are you validating this situation right now? What
She,
makes you feel better?
she's special. But yeah,
Yes.
so that was pretty interesting. Also to who's special, Nina.
Oh my. Hearing her story like all at once always makes me laugh. So Nina was all over my. There was a lot of good Nina this week though. There wasn't like
When
super
she's with
yelling.
Jax, basically.
Yes. So
Okay.
I loved when was it Valentine walked in, or maybe I heard it in the hallway. I can't remember. Something like,
So
"I'm
funny.
gonna love working with that guy," and his face just
Oh
freaking
my
dropped.
gosh. It's so funny. It's so funny to watch Valentine be so jealous. I mean, look, it's very possible that they already have a backstory, him and Jax. But right now, I feel like he's legitimately jealous of Jax's hotness.
Yes, I was gonna say major. Like, who would not be intimidated by this like super
Oh
gorgeous
man.
Aussie with a great accent and a ton of money who looks as much as I love Valentine and the man who plays his character, they are vastly different people.
They are, and I just have to say, like, I don't know, like he's done this a lot. Like even pre-Jax,
Hmm.
Valentine shows up with like grand gestures, always pulling her away from her work, and she's literally prepping for some kind of dinner meeting, and then he's like,
Yes.
let's skip it, let's go to the ballet. I'm like, you're a businessman, like you do business, like are you flaky? Does she stop you from doing all this stuff you have to do? I feel like he has a fake job, because supposedly
Yes.
he has some kind of like what, Cassadine Industries, or he has something that he runs, and I'm just like, why is your job so easy? Like I don't understand what's going on. But if I was Nina, I would be so pissed at him
Yes.
constantly showing up at my work and
I
making
would
me look
be
like a fool. Like she's a woman. It's a totally different concept. And you're showing up with flowers and making it seem like that's all she is. Like I get so angry. I'm like, I don't know why she's not more mad.
same. Okay, when he started talking about the ballet and stuff like that, and she's like, under any other circumstance, like, no, I would be, oh my gosh, I would be fuming. Like, you are belittling my job. You are belittling the fact that I have something very significant to do, and you are trying to pull me away for the ballet. Oh, there would be other words.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like that just highlights how, I guess, the part about Nina, because like I do, there are moments where I really, really like Nina and Valentine together. I really do. There's
Hmm.
times where I really do like Valentine, all quite context specific. But then there's the stuff about Nina that I don't like with Valentine, like her delusion. And I think this is just an example of it, because outside of this, the major delusion comes out when she acts like he killed Nicholas out of self-defense. Like that's one
Oh
major
gosh.
delusion she has when it
Yes.
comes to Valentine that completely drives me up the wall. So I feel like this is just another instance of that. But I was dying of when she postponed the wedding. She's like, come on, you know
Yeah.
you would do it too. And I was just like, why are you singing to him and talking like this? But whatever, it worked. And then he runs straight to Sunny.
I know. Okay, so I thought that scene at the beginning, I was really fired up because of what he said about the ballet ticket. But I was like, Nina is a woman with a game plan because she played it off easy, like, oh, you're
Yes,
undermining my
that's
work.
true.
But by the way, postponing wedding.
Yes. So I think you're right. I think she was just placating him. I think she used a kind tone rather than fight with him. She did have the meeting. So it is possible that she was just sort of like playing him a little because she knows he's a bit of a baby. Maybe.
I would like to think
That she
so
wanted her
because
way, that she was maneuvering basically to
exactly,
get her way. So
exactly.
I would rather see her. I prefer to see her in that light than somebody who's just completely oblivious to what he's trying to do.
Same, same. So when that scene wrapped up, I was like, ah, I get it now. I respect you again.
Well, yeah, I was happy about the postponing of the wedding because that wedding's never gonna happen. So
Yeah.
he goes to Sunny, like, and I was just, I really hope, like, my thoughts on that is just, I really hope he chooses not to work with Valentine. I think it would break Spencer in a million pieces if he found out that Sunny worked with him in any way. And I just think, like, what the hell are you gonna do starting trouble for? Like, you don't like Jax. Not much has happened so far. He
Hmm.
hasn't technically bought Kate's place and he hasn't become your neighbor, but I'm just saying, Michael said you have me, mom, and Joss. And Joss, especially right now, grieving and wanting her dad. You already made it so that Joss and him had to live apart. And Joss still forgave Sunny and sort of like lived there.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I'm just like, why are you going to start trouble? Right now, you are just annoyed. Like, that's it. You are literally just annoyed. You just don't like him. Like, nothing has happened so far. Do you really want to take it there where you're going to go as far as working with Valentine?
Well, I think taking it a step further, like Spencer, yes, of course, Spencer would be devastated, but Carly, that would just
That would be
because
over.
exactly
Over.
because that conversation she had with Jax, I think it was after that, saying, like, I understand you two don't like each other. However, we have to keep, Joss at the top of our list of priorities here. And you coming to visit, that's one thing. But you staying, you need to make sure that you can like play nice with Sunny. And I
But
like
I
Jax's
don't think
response to
that's
that.
fair. I don't think that's
I
fair. Are
know.
we
I
seriously going to
know.
pretend like Jax would do anything? Like, I don't think Jax has ever really, I don't know if he's ever really plotted or more so responded. I don't know. I just find like he might take an opportunity when it arises, but the guy's not going to go out of his way. Whereas Sunny kind of would.
That's true. That's a very good point.
That's why I feel so different because I don't think I would have ever had this perspective of being kind of pro Jax in certain situations if I were watching this ages ago. Like ages ago, I would have been more like, oh, whatever Sunny does. And I am a fan of Sunny, but for some reason, I'm just so conflicted with the characters now. Like, I'm like, oh, like when I saw Jax today with Carly, I'm like, you guys are adorable. And then it's like I see her with Sunny, I'm like, you guys are adorable. And I'm like, what is happening?
Well, it's like I said, Jax has chemistry with so many people and history
Mm-hmm.
with so many people. And they do have that spark. Like when they're talking about the surfing, Jax and Carly, and
Well,
he
they have a
knows her so
history.
well. And they keep playing that up that like he knows her so well, even though she doesn't say it, he knows what she's trying to say.
Well, because she had the drama-free relationship, like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it lacked a heaviness that's there with Sunny. You know what I mean? So I think there's that lightness that comes out. But I just thought it was so funny when because Sunny is stewing at the Metro Court about his annoyance with Jax. He talks with Michael. He talks with Valentine, and then he sees Jax at the elevator, and I'm like, are you trying to talk to him? Because you could just avoid him. And he brings up
Right?
like how Jax is taking the fam on a yacht. He's like, you're welcome to come. And then he just sort of stares at Sunny, and like Sunny just stares at Jax, and Jax is like, okay, good talk, and like walks away. So I kind of like those like little comedic moments with them. I find it really really funny.
I like Sunny's fake smile and his fake smile brings out his dimples.
Oh, the dimples, yes, that is everything. Very much
um,
everything.
so I'm okay with us fake smiling and those situations.
So, I mean, hopefully they could all live and let live, but I feel like I don't really know how long that could really go on for.
Same. Something's gonna give, and I know it's gonna be Sunny.
Oh my gosh, what did you think about Sunny, Carly, Ava? What did you think about that?
Oh, my emotions were all over the place. I don't know if it was just like what's
Yes,
going on here, but I just
me
because
too.
I am starting to develop a fondness for Ava, or I have already
Right.
developed a fondness
Yes.
for her. So when they immediately go on the attack,
I
I
don't
get upset.
like
I'm like, why?
it.
Why are you doing that? Just like hear her out. She just wants to see her daughter. She just got let out on bail. She just went through this huge thing, and I think she was just coming to tell you what was happening. She does
Because
not
she
have
doesn't.
friends.
Right. And I agree with that because she seemed excited. I think she thought
Yeah.
that Ryan was a safe topic. to bond with
Yes,
them over.
same.
Like, I think she really felt that. And then
Well,
it
it's
wasn't the case.
I think you
Well,
made that point last week when you said, she wasn't just doing this for her. She was doing this for all of the victims of Ryan.
yeah,
She actually
included
was,
Carly and first
yes,
victims.
yes. So when that was kind of going on in the back of my head, what you had said, and I do believe that Ava, who is this selfish person who's very, into herself, for once was trying to do this really great thing that would serve not only her purpose but for other people.
Yeah.
So I thought too that when she went there, like there would be this just a little pause, a little moment, especially that Carly had that nightmare about Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
that she would be kinder to her.
Yeah, I kind of hope she did. Okay, Ava did not receive kindness. She
Mm-hmm.
got an essence of them being impressed. Just a very
Hmm.
slim essence. No gratitude, no thank you.
True.
But Carly was like, and I think that's the best she'll ever sort of get. But
Good
I mean, I
point.
just think it's really cool because if Ava's gonna do a good deed, this is what it would look like this whole scenario and what she did with Ryan. But yeah, it did
Yes.
kind of bother me that they didn't give her more props for everything that she did do. Like, I mean, like I said, there was maybe just an essence of them being like, interesting. And it's like, did you think Sunny was sincere when he told her to keep the drawing?
I really wanted to believe that he
I
was.
want to believe that too. And I just feel like, you know, she lost her daughter and just shoving in that maybe she forgot. She didn't forget it was Kiki's
She
birthday,
didn't
but
forget.
she's coming the day after. And I just thought it was really mean for Carly to shove in her face that we celebrated. But I guess it's really hard. Like you said, you were torn because then Carly reminds us why she was snarky when she
Yes.
pointed out to Ava, doesn't it suck knowing the person responsible for your child's death may go free? And when she said that for the first time, Ava did not go on the offensive, like
Oh,
she on the
that's
defensive. On the
true.
defensive, she just sort
Yes,
of.
yes.
It seemed like for the first time she could really feel how they have been feeling all this time. At
Hmm.
first, when she lost Kiki, you're like, oh, you feel like I deserve this. You feel like we're even. And I mean, I don't
True.
think they'll ever feel like they're even. I mean, that was out of anger. And like she sat with Kiki's death for a while. So I just felt horrible because I'm like, it just sucks. You both lost a child. You both, and I know that it's too simple to say, can we all just get
Hmm.
along? Can we all move past it? Because I think for these people, this is your child and the facts remain. So I think that's always going to be there. But it was just so sad and heart wrenching because she's grieving her daughter and now she kind of understands what they're going through. But it's like to be dumped on when she's grieving is kind of hard. It
Oh,
was just a rough scene because I guess part of me is like, can't we all just get along? But I think what
same.
makes it great is the bit of the animosity and this frenemy type relationship she has with them. But I have to say, like on Instagram, they kept posting something about like Sunny interrupting a photo shoot of Ava's, like of the actual of Laura West. And then after today's
Okay.
episode, I was like, is that the Crimson photo shoot?
Oh my gosh.
Because she was
Maybe.
wearing white and the pearls. I don't know. It could have been like a personal photo shoot that she posted on Instagram, and Maurice just sort of showed up and they took some pictures. But part of me, because of today's episode, I was laughing. I'm like, I wonder if that's the style of the photo shoot that we're gonna see in Crimson.
I love that idea though. I think Maxie should get credit for the fact that it was her idea and
Yeah,
not make it Nina's ownership.
I just didn't understand what Maxie meant when she told
Hmm.
Jax and Ava will get what she deserves. I was like,
Me
what does
neither.
she deserve really? Like she put the man who tortured your mother. Well, she began the process of kind of bringing this whole nightmare to an end. And like before we get into all of that whole how the whole nightmare was put to an end in a minute, I just want to talk briefly about her interaction with Franco. So when she had a talk with Franco today. He left. She said something like, "Why are you doing this?" or something like that, or like
Oh,
why he
Ava
was
Franco,
pushing
sorry.
her. Even Franco,
Okay, yes, yes.
like kind of like why, because he was basically encouraging her to move on with her life, and the best thing she could do is forget about something. It's like especially him, he's a narcissist. To move on and forget about him would be the
Hmm.
worst thing to happen for Ryan. And she kind of went like, why are you doing this? And then
Hmm.
he said, you know why. And I guess I just wanted to know like what you thought. Like for me at first my instinct went, oh well, because of Kiki. But I'm like, but it's more than that. I feel like it's the words he's not saying, the words she might be uncomfortable hearing, but that he loves her, like in a family way, as parents, that they're
Yes.
connected. And I felt like she was so taken aback. And I feel she's taken aback by the recognizing that your connection with Franco is not just this is a person I talk to and I know, but like that there's love in that friendship.
I agree. For me, that kiss meant, or the way he was encouraging her, was twofold. It's that even though Kiki is not on this earth, we are still connected by that bond of loving that child, and that does not end that we. It does not end our relationship. It just makes it a
Mm-hmm.
different relationship, and I'll still continue to care about you because you gave me that gift. That was one
Yeah.
part of it. The second part of it was that even though he had a, what was it, like a tumor or something, a brain tumor, he chose a better life for himself. He keeps choosing good over bad. He keeps
Mm-hmm.
bringing love into his life and light into his life, and he credits that, obviously for taking out the tumor, but he credits Kiki for that. And I think he just wants to share this wonderful love and happiness that he feels in his life. He wants Ava to feel that same way, because we
Yeah.
forget, even though Ava, did a bunch of bad stuff and was in the mob, he reminded us that she's also a great businesswoman. She,
Yeah.
has a passion for art, has an instinct and the ability to make people create or share great art. And that is a wonderful message in itself. So I think it's like a part of him changing and wanting her to be a better person, and that relationship they both have with Kiki.
Well, that was one hell of a kiss. But I do think it was a weighty and heavy conversation, and it was a lot for her to take in, because there was a lot of love involved in that conversation. But like,
Yes.
onto a lighter conversation she had this week with Kevin, their breakup couldn't have been cuter.
Yes, I
I was
agree.
I was just a little disappointed that there wasn't maybe we could just be friends.
Me
I
too,
was
because he seems quite fond of her
mhm.
in like a normal way.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just sort of, yeah, I was just disappointed, because I hope her connection with those characters don't go away, like with Kevin, Laura, like Mac and Felicia. Like, I hope that doesn't go anywhere. So that went that was not an ending I could have ever have imagined. Like, when we keep talking about this Ryan storyline, it's getting prolonged. What do you think? Is it worth it? But the ending, and I don't want to like jump to the end, and we will get
I
into it.
do though.
But
I really
the
do though. I want to
but the
start from the end.
final shot, the final
Oh.
shot was something else. It was like goosebump provoking. It was just everything. It was like the moment, because like there was just, because at first you're thinking, okay, Finn earlier this week starts to kind of walk Curtis through how to forge a signature and what would need to happen. So I'm like, oh, okay, so Curtis and Finn. And then Kevin sits on a bench with Finn and starts basically saying, I wish my brother were dead. Then
Mm-hmm.
Kevin sort of walks down the stairs and says, no, we have to do it this way, or I'll handle it, something like that. And then we see like Franco with the gloves, and you're just like, okay. So then, and as the
Mm-hmm.
episodes go on, you're like, okay, so maybe it's all the guys but Curtis, maybe. And then today's episode, Kevin's talking to Laura, and then she starts to kind of like whisper stuff. And I'm like, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
stop rewinding. And I'm like, did I miss something? Did I miss something? What's going on? What is she talking about? How does she know? When did he tell her? And then as the episode progresses, then Elizabeth walks into the fold, and my jaw on
Mm-hmm.
the floor, and I'm like, she's freaking in on it too. And then Curtis reconfirmed when Jordan was like, so like he changed his mind, huh, Ryan? And I was like, please don't arrest him for saving you.
Right?
And
Jeez.
so I was just so taken aback, because Curtis's look, I'm like, this was more elaborate than I thought. I think it is the best revenge, because a lot of these are the good guys. They didn't, like Finn, he's the doctor. Kevin, good guy. You know what I mean? Like Franco, I
Yes.
am gonna put him under the category of good guy. And
Yes.
and like all those people in Curtis, these are not people we would typically think would like do something like this. And Elizabeth and Laura, like, I'm sorry, she's one hell of a crooked mayor. I did not see that coming. Like, if we were to think between Ned and her as mayor, who would be a little bit more on the crooked side, I would so not think Laura. But yeah, just seeing all those people come together, I think it's just more satisfying for those people to kind of do something, to feel like they're doing something. I don't know. I was so blown away by it.
I was too. So, and especially I loved Franco when he was with Ava. Oh yeah, the very first moment they were together, he's like, "Oh, just to let you know, I have good news." She's like, "Is he dead?" And he's like, "No, but he's in a coma." I thought that was such a cute little start to the conversation. And then you flip to him being like nervous in the waiting room, and then Finn just
Yes.
trying to
What
get
did
him
you
to
think of
calm the
that?
f down.
What did you think when you see like all of a sudden they're together? You know, when you saw
It
them
was
together, what were you thinking?
I was thinking like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is bigger than I thought it was. And like you said,
Yes.
when I saw Laura and Elizabeth, I was shocked one that Elizabeth was included, but I
Shocked.
thought it was good for her because it's one of those times where she can't be all like, oh, why did you do that? You were in it. You're contributing to
Yes,
this.
I have to admit it's good for their marriage. Like
I think so
between her and
too.
Franco, I'm like, that is very good for your marriage.
I liked see like I think I spoke about this a little bit last week, or maybe it was you. I can't quite remember because sometimes we are one. But we spoke about how the story of Ryan is very intricate, and having this falling off the bridge and the story ending was very unsatisfying. In that moment,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I wanted. But as the story played out, I wanted things to intertwine and play out as manipulative and as cold and as driven with a specific goal in mind, like he did, but towards him. Like basically a
Right.
taste
Yes,
of
you
your own
said that.
damn
You
medicine.
said that. Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that so many people were involved, and then that toast of like one for the good guys, I felt like it just opened, like it was for everybody. All the good guys got to win this week. It was a wonderful week in Port Charles.
I have goosebumps when you said
Same.
that. It's true because you're merging that with what Sam did. Oh my gosh. Yeah. For this week, I would have to say to the good guys, to the handsome men, like you did it. I just think it was really amazing. And like to top it off, I really, really enjoyed seeing the Ashford family, especially today,
Oh,
and I'm really like TJ is making me more in love with him. Like the
me
way that
too.
he comforted Curtis, at the same time those words came out of his mouth, I was thinking them. He's going to make such a great doctor. And I really hope that they get to a place where the doctors do get a bigger role back into the show because I want to see TJ, the character. I want to see this guy as a doctor for a long time to come. I want to see more of them because he was the background so long as like Molly's boyfriend, and him and Molly were just kind of just be existing, but just not on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the family was always separate. Stella had her own damn storyline. It's like she had her own business going on. Jordan, we would see her in the context of her work, and Curtis too. So getting them to kind of come together like this, I really enjoyed it. And I hope that Jordan doing better is not going to be the end of us seeing the Ashford family kind of move forward. And
I
to
hope
see
so
them together as
too.
well as apart. Like that's just my hope for
Well, I
them.
think it was you. Like at the time when they were talking about bringing in, are there other family members that we could
Yeah.
contact? I'm hoping that they're just giving some roots to them. So, like a Quartermain family, a Corinthos family, that there can be like an Ashford family in there now as like
Oh,
one of the pillars of Port Charles.
they are that new family, so I'm just looking forward to kind of seeing that growth. But so we're forgetting one person, but I don't really know how involved they were, like as in it. And I don't think that they were in it in the way that everyone else was with Stella, because honestly, I bought the whole thing. Like I was like, I didn't think this girl can like change his mind at all. And then there was a lot of people who had a lot of a lot of faith in her, and somebody, because like her scenes with him were amazing. I was like, oh my god, I would give you my kidney at this point. And so like Higgy underscore 10100 said, and that's why we see an Emmy winner, because she did win an Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
TARDIS Lover FL83 said, Aunt Stella will hit you with a pillow and make damn sure you feel it for years to come, which made me laugh. And I have to say this about Ryan. It freaking, this comment, I'm sorry. Lovering Dog Mom said, how is he handcuffed to the bed on both sides if he cut off one of his hands?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so all this time, like I'm like after that episode, I was like, wow, Stella did it. Like this is me. I'm like, Stella did it.
Yes.
But then there were some brighter people online. So we have MECMPK on Insta, as well as Sheris Everett 226, and on Twitter at Chris R. Hood. So these intelligent people were like, I think they switched out. So they kind of they think that they switched out Kevin and Ryan, and Kevin was the one to give the consent. And clearly from today's episode, we see that they're right. So these people kind of saw the conspiracy as it was taking place, where it was completely freaking over my head until I read those comments on our Instagram and Twitter page.
See, here's the thing. I think usually we're very intuitive and we're like coming up with all kinds of
Usually,
theories. But it was Hawkeye week. I was
I
very
guess
distracted.
distracted, super distracted. I have to
Yeah,
say
for
this about
real.
like my new, like, again, he's now included in my Hawkeye list, but Kevin, because he
I
got so
know, me
cool.
too, though.
But I just have to say, like, what they did with Kevin's character, like, they really reinvigorated him. Like, he's been a long-standing character, like many of them that are still on the show. And when they had kind of brought him back into the fold, he was kind of like Laura's dorky love interest, follows her to Greece, gets shot, and has to be carried around by a bunch of people. You know, not your bad boy, not your typical like Hawkeye bad boy situation. But then they kind of use his past and use everything, because that's the thing. These long-standing characters have so much to work with, and everything that they did for Kevin, like I said, they breathed new life into his character, and I'm sure made a whole new generation kind of fall in love and learn more about him. And I kind of just wish they would sprinkle a little bit more of that on the other characters that have been here for so long.
Oh, that's a very good point because now he has, like you said, before he was so dorky, but when he was having that conversation with Laura, you can see a little bit of the darkness in him, but the balance. So he still has some
Mm-hmm.
edge, and you know that what he did. Obviously, we all know that he took his brother's place and put him in the coma and all that jazz, and it just made him hotter, and it just made him have more depth, and we're gonna want
Yes.
to follow him closely and see what happens next.
And it's like we're loving Laura. Maybe we'll actually get to see her be a mayor, but she's been involved in a lot of the action too. And I'm saying, give me even more Laura, but like Scott or even Monica. It's like Monica's there. She was part of the Oscar storyline, but I feel like, can't we get more? Like, I mean, they've been there for so long. They have so much history. And I just feel like, pulling Kevin in this way, I feel like if we can just pull in the long-standing characters, it would be nice to see like what can we pull from these long-standing characters to really light up the show.
I agree.
On that note, have a great weekend to you and to everybody listening. Bye bye.
Bye.